My name is Dr. Johnston Andrea. I'm a lecturer from Geography Department, University of Dar es Salaam. I'm specialized on environmental disaster risk management. So today we are going to answer 3 key questions relating to floods, climate, and urbanization. At the end of this presentation, we will be able to answer these 3 questions. Are floods, climate or urbanization related events? And what causes floods in the city of Dar es Salaam? And how can we address flooding in the city of Dar es Salaam? So these have been the issues which have been coming in the headline to various people, the debate on the real cause of flooding in urban areas, whether it's the urbanization or it's climate, especially the current issues of climate change. So Africa have the fastest urban growth in the world, and the continent population is projected to double between now and 2050, and 2/3 of this growth will be living in urban areas. So there is a rapid growth of population from rural to urban area due to seeking of employment and other social services. So population is growing rapidly in urban areas, about twice that of their counterpart rural areas. So this rapid urbanization has increased the stress on institutions responsible for services delivery, while investment on infrastructure has not kept pace with the population growth. So there is a rapid population growth from rural. People are migrating day after day to urban area. And this crowdedness of the population in the urban area, the governments and other institutions that are supposed to provide the services are not capable to accommodate such population. So as a result, the population, most of the population, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, it is believed that around 65% of the population is living in the unplanned areas or living in the slums. So because of such rapid increase of the population in urban area has resulted in highest proportion of slums dwellers, growing occupations in the floodplain areas, which are unsafe for life or which are prone to floods, poor drainage systems to accommodate that population, and you find in most cases the drainage systems have been silted up, and some places do not have drainage systems, inadequate waste management, and a lack of basic services to save such population. So these issues, which have been resulted because of high level of urbanization or population increase, has increased the vulnerability to the population that are living in that particular place. So this kind of growth and the people who are moving to the urban area, in most cases you find that the poor people or low-income people are the ones that are experiencing or that are facing these issues, living in the slums, occupying the floodplain, poor drainage systems, inadequate waste management, and lack of basic services. You cannot find maybe high-income people to find them facing this kind of difficulties, even though they are living in the urban area, because they have capacity to access good tract of land in safe places, but the poor are not capable to access land in the safe places. So you'll find that most of the poor people will be like such an environment in the slums and occupying the floodplain areas, and in most cases have been impacted by floods in that area. So low-income communities often live in the most hazardous and unhealthy environment in the urban area. Many built their homes and grow their food on river floodplain towns or cities. Other construction their shelters in the steep and stable hillsides or along the former mangrove swamps. And in these urban areas, we find that before, in the past years, when the population was less, there are some areas which were reserved for other human activities, not settlement, like agriculture, cultivating the vegetables and whatever. But because of the rapid increase of the population day after day, you find that those places which were not suitable for settlement now have been occupied for settlement. So this is increasing the intensity of flooding behind the climate change consequences which is facing the world now. So people suffering these poor conditions may find their difficulties compounded by the consequences of climate change. So climate change has come, but is overlaid to the already existing problems which are existing there. So climate change is coming where there is slums. Climate change is superimposed where there is a lack of drainage systems. So climate change is coming where there are, it is a floodplain. Formerly, it was not suitable for settlement. But so when climate change comes, because of the increase of intensity, flooding intensity and the frequency, has intensified the flood risks and the disasters in that area. So most of the major cities in Africa face growing problem of severe flooding, increased from storm frequency and intensity related to climate change are exacerbated by such human factors. So the climate change that we are talking is increasing the frequency and the intensity of floods. It has been intensified by human factors, not really climate change per se. Because the landscape, the way it is like the way it looks like, if it is a floodplain, it means automatically or naturally will be accumulating or attracting floods. And those areas were there. But because of the population increase in the urban area, especially the low-income people, those areas which were not supposed to be occupied for settlement, now they are occupied for settlement. So when climate change increases the intensity of flooding, rainfall intensity, those areas will face more impacts of flooding than it was before. So in the larger cities of low latitude countries, it is common for most of the low income population to live in areas at risk from flooding. So this population is most likely to be affected by extreme flood events connected to climate change. Climate-induced floods are natural phenomena, but damage and losses from these floods are the consequences of human action. So in this presentation, I have treated climate impact on flooding as a natural phenomena and the impact or damage as a human action. So when you combine climate and the human action, it's where we see these flood disasters that we are experiencing in urban areas. So if we look at this diagram here, it's a conceptual that is explaining this concept that I'm explaining, that the flooding in the urban area, it is not only a result of climate change, or it is not a result only for urbanization, but it is a combination of these two main drivers. So climate change at one side here, climate change at one side here is a natural phenomena which is resulting to flood events. So climate change has increased the extreme flood events. That means the rainfall can come 1 day or 2 days consecutively of high level and cause flooding, and may be followed by a long period of time of drought or without rain. So that is the characteristic of climate change: extreme events, extreme drought or extreme floods. And when these extreme flood events coming from climate change, if they will not find human action in the other side, there will be no problem. There will be no flood disaster. You won't hear people and crying about this, because it is a combination of the two. And again, if there is urbanization development with increase of slums, occupation in the flood-prone areas, but there is no extreme events, again, there won't be a big problem. So explanation to answer this question that are flood events in urban areas, is it a result of climate or urbanization? It is the combination of these two big drivers: human modification on land and the climate extreme events per se. Okay, so here we have rapid population growth in one side is causing these things here: increase of slums, occupation, flood-prone areas, silted drainage systems or lack of drainage systems in some areas, inadequate waste management. We can see we are living in some places, people are taking their waste during the night and they throw them on the drainage, and increase of roofs and the paved areas. You can see the area of Dar es Salaam, most of the areas are covered by roofs and the paved areas, so water percolation is less, you see. So such water remaining on the surface and intensifying the problem of flooding. So climate change is there, yes, but the intensification of this is explained as a result of human consequences. So flooding in urban areas is not just caused by heavy rainfall and extreme climatic event per se. You see? So flooding in the urban area is not just caused by heavy rainfall and extreme climatic events per se. Not only that, but it is also related to changes in the built-up areas themselves. So it is a combination, as I have said in the diagram. So urbanization restricts where flood waters can go by covering large parts of the ground with roofs, roads, and pavements, thus obstructing natural channel, and by building drains that ensure that water moves to river more rapidly than it did under natural conditions. So these built-up areas, you find that most of the water have been obstructed to percolate in the soil, and most of the areas are paved, so most of the water remain. Flooding normally occur and impact human life in the area. So large-scale urbanization and population increase have led to the large number of people, especially the poor, living in the floodplain and around the urban area. In Tanzania, for example, the Msimbazi Valley in Dar es Salaam demonstrates this point. People have occupied the floodplain. So Msimbazi Valley, it has been like that naturally before even the existence of Dar es Salaam. It's a landscape which has been created like that. So in the past we are not there, but because of the pressure of the people coming and find everybody wants to live in the urban area, have occupied in that area. Now you can see the impact that we are facing every day when the rain comes, even if it's not so many, like what rain maybe yesterday. People, flooding is very high and the people have lost their lives, and you find that they have lost life or their properties. So, but it is not the extent that it's too much rainfall. It's normal, but because of the infrastructure and they have occupied in the flooding area, now they are facing such consequences. As the people crowd into cities, human impact on urban land surfaces and drainage increase. Even moderate storm now produce quite high flows or in rivers because the surface runoff from hard surface and drains. Even if it is a normal storm, lowly, but still you find that water is accumulated because it has nowhere to go, and the drainage systems are not there, have been blocked, and then flood do occur. So water flowing through series of covered and concrete channels cannot adjust to change in the frequency of heavy rain as a natural stream do. They are often obstructed by silt and urban debris, particularly when houses are built close to the channels. I think this has been evident in most of the parts of Dar es Salaam. People, they come, they build up even the walls, they obstruct the natural channels of water, main streams, and you find that when during the rain, when water comes, it is diverted somewhere else and affects the other population. So this kind of flooding which affects such people, you cannot say that is natural, is coming from climate change. These have been intensified by human action. Such situations frequently arise when people build on low-lying floodplain over the swamps. So the effects of climate change are overlaid or superimposed on these human-induced local land surface modification. Therefore, separating human-induced local modification from global climate change is not always easier. You cannot say this is for climate change, and you cannot say this is for human. So separating this has been a great problem. It is not easier, but it is a combination of these two big drivers. Conclusion on this, the first question. To answer this question, are floods climate or urbanization-related flood event? Regarding to the above analysis, this presentation does not concluding by saying which flood driver, climate or urbanization, is the main cause of flooding in cities or urban areas, but only to present them to the reader in a form that allows reflections and a balanced consideration. So such neutral stand on the subject of floods, climate change and urbanization has been lacking in recent years. Whilst climate change influence on urban flooding has been exaggerated, while local land modification have been overlooked. So you find that most of the people on the face saying issues of climate change, everything saying climate change. But most of the things you find that it is human influence. So the consideration between climate influence and the human influence should be taken into equal consideration in order to deal or to address the issues of flood disasters in urban areas. So quickly, what causes floods in the state of Dar es Salaam and how should be they controlled? What causes floods in the state of Dar es Salaam? Causing floods, because you can see those pictures, they are explaining what causes floods there. Occupation in the floodplain area. Here, this is a floodplain area. People have established building settlements there. Now, what do you expect? So that is the one cause, the landscape and the people occupation in the floodplain area. And a big river, Msimbazi River, is passing through the center of the city, and it has been causing floods in that area. So several studies of the hydrological changes associated with urbanization have described the contribution of topographical conditions, landscape, extreme rain related to climate change, the expansion of paved impermeable areas, uncontrolled waste dumping, and the construction on the floodplain. These are the issues which largely have been explaining floods in the state of Dar es Salaam. So climate is maybe a one component among of the so many components which explain flooding in the state of Dar es Salaam. Okay, so a key issues explaining flooding in urban areas. So 4 major categories of flooding in Dar es Salaam. Localized flooding due to inadequate drainage. You see there. That is, there is no river stream there. but people are standing in the floods. Cars are submerged in water. Why that? That is localized floods which occur in a small area because of inadequate drainage systems. So this you cannot come and say this is climate change here, even though climate change is behind this because of extreme events. But if the drainage systems would be there, maybe this kind of extreme flooding would not have been observed. Quickly, so the second category, floods from small streams whose catchment area lies almost entirely within the built-up areas. Think of Kigogo. Think of the Msimbazi and the Jangwani and whatever. That is a flood-prone area. In the past, those were around for agriculture. People were cultivating vegetables. But now it is a settlement. You get a plot there, cheap plots, then you build your house, but it is a floodplain. Now you can see. So the first one, localized because of inadequate drainage systems. The second one is establishment of settlement in the flooding area, like what we see in the image there. Category 3, flooding from major rivers. This is the Msimbazi is coming from even Pugu, Kisarawe, whatever. This is major, but the Kigogo, we have two streams, Kibangu and the Tenge River, which are coming, emanating from Kimara. So these have been intensified by roofs and the water accumulated from homes. The last category is flooding, coastal flooding from sea, from a combination of high tides and high river flows from inland. When this Msimbazi River flows towards the ocean, during the high tide of the ocean, it pushes the inland water to go back. So there will be no movement of water. So floods, those people who are in a particular area will experience floods. So during the high tide and the low tide. During the high tide, so water from inland will not move quickly to the ocean, will go back. This has been causing flooding, especially in the coastal area. And a good example is the question of the Msimbazi or Jangwani. How should they be controlled? This is the last slide. How should they controlled? Flood risk assessment to inform policies and regulations is very important. So there is a need to undertake flood risk assessment by mapping all flood-prone areas, currently flooded and potentially flooded, and to inform planning decisions in urban so that to avoid the future flooding, because climate change is going on and the more extreme flooding they are moving on. So what we need is to undertake a detailed flood risk assessment to map all flood hazardous area and prone areas so that to inform planning and be able to address the potential of future flooding on the communities. So the provision of integrated drainage systems in informal settlements, which are often regarded as being outside accepted urban regulation and planning. So you find that the government mostly develop drainage systems in the planned areas and they live out in the slums. This has been a problem, and if people that are living in the slums, so the government and other stakeholders, they need also to develop or establish integrated drainage systems in order to address such kind of floods. And a good example, it's like the drainage system that have been constructed by the World Bank from Ubungo to Tandale. Tandale in the past was a flooding, but now they are living safely because of such big drainage systems which have been constructed, Kiwarani and some parts of Mbweni. Now, these areas, even in Kigogo, if such kind of a project of drainage system, if it's established, can really reduce or address the problem of flooding that is facing that area and the other parts of the Dar es Salaam city. Okay, this is the end of the lecture. Thank you so much for listening and watching.